Is Taiwan relying too much on the US for weapons? We look at some other options. Taiwan is planning more help for low-income residents and people with disabilities. Where is Li Sangfu? Another top Chinese official goes AWOL. Plus,
finding enough of the right talent is one of the biggest challenges for chip firms, and I'm here to find out how one university is training up its students to fit the bill.
welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Leslie Liao. Thank you for joining us. Starting off with our top story, one of the U.S.'s largest defense companies, Northrop Grumman, says it will provide $100 million for Taiwan-related projects every year. This is an example of the close security ties between the two countries. But some say Taiwan is putting all its eggs in one basket. Our reporter Jaime Okan has more.
Missiles, armored vehicles, and fighter jets. It's all on display at this weapons expo in Taiwan's capital of Taipei. The country is showcasing its military hardware, but much of that comes from the United States, like this F-16. While this expo could pave the way for future arms sales, Taiwan is still facing a massive delay in weapons orders from the US. Now, that totals roughly $20 billion.
There's a lot that goes into it. You know, part of it, when we think about some of the challenges we're facing now on foreign military sales, is simply the fact that our defense industry lacks the capacity to meet, all of the demand ahead of it. That's something that we've got to work on.
Deliveries are delayed for systems like fighter jets, anti-tank weapons, and mobile rocket launchers. One way Taiwan is trying to manage this backlog of weapons is by focusing on its domestic defense industry, producing more of its own weapons, like these missiles.
So in that sense, if you're in Taiwan's shoes, you're really worried for the very short time, but in the medium-long term sort of space, the United States is making all the right moves to reassure sort of partners like Taiwan.
This reliance on the U.S. for almost all foreign military sales could be dangerous as neighboring China ramps up its military aggression and presence around Taiwan. Without U.S. military equipment, the country's defenses are jeopardized. And analysts believe that Taiwan could benefit from branching out to other countries for military cooperation or sales.
The world today has created the geopolitical conditions for other countries that are starting to be interested into expanding their defense industry to be very appealing potential partners to countries like Taiwan.
One of the biggest factors influencing whether other countries sell arms to Taiwan is China's reaction. But countries like Lithuania and the Czech Republic are starting to break this mold as they deepen ties with Taiwan. Representatives from the Czech Trade Office and other vendors all came to this expo, eager to work with Taiwan on equipment like drones.
We are looking for the newest technology because this is extending the technology borders. So it's great to be here in the Taiwan and see all the best technology which is in the world. And also will be great to find the partners which we can cooperate in the future for the manufacturing.
Many analysts agree that it's all about striking a balance between working with allies and strengthening the domestic defense industry. But for Taiwan, facing increasing threats from China, this expo highlights the range of opportunities the country has to up its defense and prevent a conflict from starting. Andy Xue and Jaime Okan for TaiwanPlus.
3 million people in Taiwan are expected to benefit from a 7% hike in welfare subsidies beginning next year. Here's Tiffany Wong with the details.
Existing subsidies and pensions will increase for low-income residents, people with disabilities, disadvantaged children, the elderly, and low-income farmers. These are some of the new welfare benefits the Executive Yuan announced will be rolled out over the next year. In total, the plan is expected to cost about $4 billion. While on paper it might seem like good news for those in need, some remain uncertain about when they'll begin to see real change.
加减好，因为我们其实要等那个调，就是要等到特定的时间嘛。虽然很少，但是就加减嘛。
The increases in social benefits are based on the expected consumer price index growth for this year. but the cost of the plan is estimated to leave the government short of nearly $625 million US.
如果说预算书有若干不足，当然政府还是要想办法去支付。
This follows a 4% hike in the minimum wage starting next year. But some groups say, despite good intentions, the benefits are still not enough.
加几百块，就这样不是等啊！我们生活在社会上花的成本会很高，医疗耗材去也很贵，个人住的也有自负额。
While the new benefit reforms may help some, legislators will still have to find solutions to other issues and a widening economic divide. Justin Wu and Tiffany Wong for TaiwanPlus.
Presidential hopeful Hou You-yi has arrived in the United States for an 8-day trip. He'll visit several cities, including Washington, D.C. and New York. He's due to meet with U.S. Congress members, think tanks, and journalists. Hou is running for the opposition Kuomintang in the upcoming presidential election. He says his trip is an assertion of his commitment to democracy.
这一次的访问，也期待美国能够持续对台海区域的稳定和平给予更高度的关注，并协助台湾对印太区域自由经济贸易的参与。
Speculation is growing over the whereabouts of Chinese Defense Minister Li Shangfu. Li has not been seen in public since the end of August. He abruptly pulled out of a meeting with Vietnamese defense leaders last week, citing a health condition. The U.S. ambassador to Japan on Friday said Li was under house arrest in a tweet. That comes after reports the U.S. believes Li is under investigation. It is not the first mysterious disappearance of a top minister in China this year. Former Foreign Minister Qin Gang was suddenly replaced in July after he also disappeared from public view for several weeks. To learn more about what is behind Li's disappearance, Rick Glauert spoke to political scientist Ian Chong, an associate professor at the National University of Singapore.
How often does this sort of thing happen? High-profile members of China's ruling elite, kind of not appearing in public.
Well, I mean, it happens from time to time, but I think the frequency of two highly visible members of the State Council. This is Li Shangfu, Defense Minister, Qin Gang, the former Foreign Minister. That is unusual, and it also comes against the background of a number of other removals, high-profile removals in the military. So we've seen the removal of the number 1 and number 2 of the strategic rocket forces. We've seen the removal of the head of the PLA military court. So this spate of reshuffles or purges, however you want to look at them, seems to suggest that there is some instability in the top leadership.
Does it say anything about Xi Jinping and the way he's ruling the country? Does it speak to any turmoil there?
It does suggest that there is some unhappiness that she has. I mean, it's clear that she's consolidated power, so any removals has to be likely because she is unhappy with something. We don't know exactly what. The fact that there seems to be a concentration of these efforts to remove people in the military apparatus suggests that she might feel that something is not right there, something needs to be fixed. But to be honest, we don't know what. From the outside at this point, the worry is, of course, that the movement of people and the removals could portend some sort of instability in China's strategic behavior that might end up being inadvertently provocative somehow.
What does this sort of instability, removals, and reshuffles at the top of China's ruling elite, what does that mean for the way China is governed and how it deals diplomatically with other countries?
I mean, it does suggest a big concentration of authority in the person of Xi Jinping. He decides who stays and who goes. But that personal imprint may also suggest that his own view trumps whatever potential views out there. But alternatively, if the corruption accusations are real, it would suggest that the PLA system is quite ridden with disciplinary problems and issues with professionalism, which is certainly not a good look either, and doesn't also lend itself well to maintaining stability and things like that. The big takeaway really is that all the removals suggest a certain brittleness to the PRC system, despite, or maybe because of the concentration of authority around Xi Jinping. And that, I think, creates some degree of concern and worry.
That was political scientist Ian Chong speaking to Rick Gloud about Chinese Defense Minister Li Shangfu. Australia is cracking down on former armed forces personnel who are found to have trained foreign militaries. Under the new laws introduced to Parliament by Defense Minister Rich Marles, anyone found guilty could face up to 20 years in jail. The legislation follows a string of cases where former military pilots allegedly trained Chinese air crews in South Africa. The United States and the Philippines are in talks about expanding U.S. access to Philippine military bases as part of a joint defense agreement. The discussions come after the Philippines military raised concerns about the number of Chinese fishing vessels in the Philippine Sea. The move is likely to anger China, which has accused Washington of fueling tensions in the Asia-Pacific. That was after the Philippines granted the U.S. military access to 4 additional sites, allowing U.S. personnel to access a total of 9 Philippine bases. Schools are back in session, and in the South, one of the country's first dedicated semiconductor academies is welcoming its second class of students. Joyce Tseng visited the school to see how it's working to address an urgent industry problem.
Patty Chan is an engineering student who's hoping to land a spot in Taiwan's lucrative chips industry. She's one of the first to join the country's inaugural semiconductor academy.
现在看起来是蛮多机会的，甚至有时候，还没有毕业的时候，就会有一些公司来征才。
Globally, the chips industry is on its way to hitting the $1 trillion mark, with Taiwan in a key position to drive that momentum as the world's biggest manufacturer of advanced chips. 2 of Taiwan's top chip firms, TSMC and MediaTek alone, recruited over 10,000 people in 2022. Thousands more were also hired by multinational firms, expanding their operations in Taiwan. With her engineering background, Patty is exactly the type of person these companies are looking for. But people like her are becoming increasingly hard to come by, an issue that could get worse. Though more workers have been joining the chips industry, the number of graduates in related fields has been dropping since 2009. Latest figures show that group has shrunk from 116,000 in 2011 to 92,000 in 2019, a drop of more than 20%.
工程师在台湾几乎是兵家必争。
That fight for talent is one of the largest challenges to overcome, and universities like this one aim to be part of the solution. National Tengong University is consistently ranked among the top universities in the country, and it's most well known for its medicine, engineering, design, and also computer science programs, and it's built on those strengths to open a dedicated semiconductor academy. The school is part of an effort by lawmakers to pull together government, industry, and academic resources and train more students. In a matter of months, Tengong University set up its CHIPS Academy after the government allowed for closer cross-sector partnerships. For now, the school is sharing existing labs with other departments, but with added public and corporate backing, they look forward to upgrading their space and equipment. Aside from resources, access to the latest insider insights is also central to the curriculum. The idea is that students will be up to speed and ready to work right after they graduate, a huge plus for a field that usually requires more corporate training.
We also invite many guest experts from the industry because besides the theoretical study, we also want to know about the practical issue.
For students like Patty, this problem-solving style of learning and access to industry heavyweights have been the best part. As for her most memorable experience, a field trip to visit her dream employer.
就是去台积电的时候，我们都可以看到，就是实际半导体产业在制作的过程。
Though the talent shortage can't be fixed overnight, education is a key part of the solution. And learning the tricks of the trade right from the get-go means that prospective workers will be off to a strong start. Justin Wu and Joyce Chen in Tainan for TaiwanPlus.
Coming up, Taiwan's boxers look for knockout performances at the Asian Games, which start next week. Stay with us.
more stories from Taiwan and around the world, download the TaiwanPlus app.
In the face of adversity, the power of truth.
A roadmap for a just and open world, charted by the freest country in Asia.
Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
TaiwanPlus News, a voice of freedom in Asia.
Welcome back after the quick break. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. Developing and emerging countries are meeting at a summit that seeks to promote a new economic world order. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres is also attending the G77 plus China Summit in Cuba. It's a group of more than 100 countries from Asia, Africa, and Latin America. They represent 80% of the global population. The group is promoting an international order that they describe as less unfair. For more, our reporter Louise Watt spoke to a geopolitics and international relations expert at the Manipal Academy of Higher Education in India, Dr. Amrita Josh.
The G77 plus China are meeting in Cuba. What is the goal of their summit?
Undoubtedly, the goal is to first represent the global South. Secondly, as the agenda says, or some musings, it's suggesting that a call for a new kind of economic order. This is the common position that is taken, which is like making stand against the Western-led institutions, because all the existing institutions, they are led by the West. So one way of making a fairer world is through institutional building. But how they will build is a bigger challenge. So you need to first have a consensus on that. And I think so the game changer is when we say G77 plus China. That's where the tricky part is. Because global South cannot be dominated by one country, as China would like to be that one country.
And what is China's interest and role in the G77?
Definitely, China's interest lies in becoming the champion of global South. And you need to see the timing as well. G77 comes in just after the culmination of G20 Summit in New Delhi, where you see there was Xi Jinping didn't make a visit to New Delhi. The Delhi Declaration has been a success story. And New Delhi pitching for African Union to be a part of G20 is a big success story. So now G77 China will try to take this opportunity to make its own case strong, because G20 was not really China's story. We need to take into account that, objectives of G77 and objective of China are very different. Is there a way we can put them together? Because one is developing, other is a developed state. Can we keep the core and the periphery together? That's my question.
That was Amrita Josh of the Manipal Academy of Higher Education in India talking to Louise Watt. Fishers in Cambodia are trying to save a species of crab from extinction. They're catching less of the popular seafood as the crab's population has been hit by rapidly warming oceans. Sally Jensen's got more.
39-year-old Ung Bun sets out in his boat at the break of dawn every day to do what he has done his whole life, catch flower crabs. But the Cambodian fisher is now finding it almost impossible to catch even a few. As a result, he can barely look after his family. Local seafood vendors are also seeing sales take a hit as catches get smaller. So Ung Bun is now doing something almost unheard of in the Cambodian crab catching community. He is releasing his catches back into the sea. Flower crab has long been a popular seafood in Cambodia, but tourists are happy to eat less of it if it means protecting the crabs from extinction. Un from non-profit Wild Earth Allies teaches more crab catchers to release their catches back into the sea so they have a chance of surviving the hotter oceans. Authorities have banned the use of fishing nets with small holes so baby crabs don't get caught. Even though Ung Bun doesn't get paid for his conservation work, he hopes his efforts will eventually bear fruit. With patience and determination, Ung Bun hopes he will see the industry he depends on thrive once more. Patrick Chen and Sally Jensen for TaiwanPlus.
Taipei is gearing up for Nuit Blanche, the art festival originated in France, but is now celebrated around the world. For one night, Taiwan's capital will turn into an open theater to accommodate all kinds of performing arts. With more about this year's themes is Hsin Huang.
These officials are posing for a photo for the upcoming art festival. In the lineup are representatives for France, Taipei, and most importantly, felines. Mayor Cat is part of the performance art piece included in this year's Nuit Blanche, which is celebrated for just one night a year. This will be Taipei's 8th time participating in the French-born festival. The event encourages audiences to take part in dialogues on contemporary art and social issues. They do this by making the whole city into a giant exhibition space, playground, and theater for performances artists and their interactive works.
所以我们这次也为了要打破这种所谓的威权以及强调自由的概念，所以呢，我们就把整个市政府，包括1楼的大厅，包括市政府的这个市长室呢，都会有猫市长来做相关的直播。那民众可以在1楼里面就可以来参加各种的活动。
Two major international artists' works are coming to Taipei for the first time. Brazilian artist Nelly Azevedo will present her iconic work, Minimum Monument. The piece consists of thousands of melting figures sitting in a public space. Azevedo will invite people in Taipei to make 3,000 little icemen and display them at Sun Yat-sen Memorial Hall. The piece tells a cautionary tale about global warming. Another artist, JR from France, is known for placing giant prints of ordinary people on landmarks. He brought his mobile photography studio to Taipei. JR's Inside Out project has toured more than 150 locations around the world. He has tailored a special theme for his act in Taiwan's capital city, Born Free.
我们也很希望，在这一次的艺术行动里面，把台湾最珍贵民主价值让大家看到。那我们也透过这样的一个摄影计划，邀请了2000位公民一起来参与。
Most of this year's events will take place in Taipei's bustling nightlife district of Xinyi. More than 100 performance groups and artists will be there to discuss a wide range of issues, from the environment and freedom of speech to bodily autonomy and more. And when night falls on October 7th, the district will light up with a brand new look. Hsin Chen and Hsin Huang for TaiwanPlus.
Team Taiwan is cruising through the Women's Baseball World Cup's group stage. The team is currently undefeated with a 3-win, 0-loss record at the tournament in Japan. Taiwan most recently won against Puerto Rico 12-6 after beating teams Cuba and Venezuela earlier this week. The group stage regular games are scheduled to end on September 17th, and the top teams will go on to the finals in Canada next year. Taiwan's athletes are looking to secure medals at the Asian Games, which begin next week. After falling short last time, the country's boxers hope that after another 4 years of training, they can punch up toward gold medals. Bing Wong has more.
26-year-old Taiwanese boxer Huang Xiaowen spars with her trainer in preparation for next week's Asian Games in Hangzhou, China. Huang is one of Taiwan's best boxers, winning a bronze medal at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, the first medal earned by a Taiwanese woman in a boxing event. But since then, it's been 3 years of subpar performance, leaving Huang disappointed.
教练有说过，不是我退步，只是没有什么进步，就是可能有点在原地踏步的那种感觉。
After seeing a psychologist and training with younger teammates, she roared back to win gold in this year's World Championships. She's now optimistic for the games and believes her teammates will perform well too, such as the Yu team. Ling won bronze in the previous Asian Games, but faced a low point after losing in the first round of the Tokyo Olympics. She didn't let her disappointment keep her down for long though, as she won gold at the 2022 World Championships.
5年的一个时间里，其实自己在调整这段时间，其实我自己觉得啊，就是提升了蛮多东西的啦。可以夺金，也可以拿到奥运资格，这样是最棒的。
The boxers inspire each other to improve and strive to win in the Asian Games, and they hope propel Team Taiwan up the medal table. Devin Tai and Bing Wong for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally today, we leave you with images of models with disabilities showcasing adaptive fashion at New York Fashion Week. I'm Leslie Liao. Take care, and I'll see you next time.
Are you still there? You hear me talking to you? We going live, let the beat get to you. I make you say